welcome back to the course on Forex trading. In today's tutorial we will talk about currency pairs and how to read them. So let's have a look at a chart. This is the euro-dollar daily chart, and you can see that the current price for the euro-US dollar is 1.2524. So what does that mean, and how do we understand that? Well, let's look at the currency pair at the bottom. The currency on the left of the pair is called the base currency. In this case, it's the euro. And the currency on the right is called the quoted currency. In this case, it's the US dollar. You may see this price of 1.2524 for the euros dollar currency pair written the following way. This is equivalent to writing it out as euro/US dollar equals 1.2524. Now let's quickly simplify this example to understand it a bit better. Let's replace the euro currency with apples. And let's say that we're quoting the price of apples in US dollars. Personally, I really like this approach because it takes one of the unknowns out of the equation. If you think about it, euros, like any other money, is a tangible object. You can hold it in your hands, you can measure it, you can weigh it up, you can count it. It's something that actually physically exists. So that means we can easily replace it with something else that also physically exists, but is better known to us, like apples, for example. You can count apples, you can weigh them up, and you can hold them in your hands just like euros. So there's no harm in replacing euros with apples just for the sake of this example. So here you can see that a price of a single apple in American dollars is 1.2524, and that's exactly what this equation means. And now if we go back to the euro, we can quickly understand that the chart in fact represents the price of one single euro in terms of US dollars. So this means that at the point in time when the snapshot was taken, for 1 euro you would get 1.2524 US dollars. And conversely, to buy 1 euro you would need 1.2524 US dollars. And this principle applies to any currency pair. The chart simply expresses the value of the base currency, which is on the left, quoted in terms of the quoted currency, which is on the right. So as more candles appear throughout the day and the price changes on your chart, you always know that this is simply the price of the base currency changing in terms of the quoted currency. Now let's look at another example. Let's take US dollar, Canadian dollar for instance. And this example will be a bit more tricky because the US dollar is on the left. Now as you can see, the US dollar is the base currency in this example, and the Canadian dollar is the quoted currency. How do we read this chart? Very similar approach. US dollar Canadian equals 1.1287. It's the same as putting a slash in between the currencies, and now we can replace the US dollar with apples. As you can see here, we're replacing the base currency with an apple. And it doesn't matter that it's the US dollar. There's nothing special about the US dollar in terms of Forex charts. The US dollar can be on the left, the US dollar can be on the right. It doesn't matter. What we're looking to do right now is we're looking to replace the base currency with something that we know quite well. In this case, apples. So in this example, we can see that the price of one apple is 1.1287 Canadian dollars, or approximately 1 Canadian dollar and 13 cents. So now going back to US dollars, we can see that the price of 1 US dollar is approximately 1.13 Canadian dollars. This means that for 1 US dollar you will get 1 Canadian dollar and 13 Canadian cents, or conversely, to buy 1 US dollar you would need 1 Canadian dollar and 13 Canadian cents. And now when we look at the chart, we know that the price is simply telling us how much an American dollar is worth in Canadian dollars. And as the price goes up and down throughout the day, that's simply the price of American dollars expressed in Canadian dollars, also changing throughout the day. There are over 180 currencies in the world, and you can combine any two of them to give you a currency pair. Most traders identify two main groups of currency pairs, and these are the majors: the euro US dollar, the dollar yen, the British pound dollar, the Australian dollar American dollar, the dollar Swiss franc, and the dollar Canadian dollar. And also the second group is the crosses. Crosses are simply put all currency pairs that do not include the American dollar, such as the Euro British pound yen, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and so on. And of course there are also all other currency pairs. One more final note before we finish today's tutorial is that the order in which two currencies go into their currency pair is fixed. So for instance, you will never see a currency pair called US dollar euro or a currency pair called US dollar Australian dollar. That's because it has historically developed in each case how the currency pair is fixed, and people just choose not to change it so in order to avoid confusion. So a euro US dollar chart will always be a euro US dollar chart, and therefore you will always know that it is quoting the price of €1 in terms of American dollars. On that note, we will wrap up today's tutorial. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, happy trading.